Hello, APE students. We're going to talk about sources of pollution. It's a pretty quick little unit. So waste should be viewed as a system, and systems have inputs and outputs. And the things that we think about in ecological systems, we think of plants, we think of roots, we think of sort of full ecosystems, we think of the energy that comes in from the sun. And all of this is very natural and very regular. Human systems include all of those, but we also have synthetic materials that we make. And so in systems, some of the outputs include things that we call waste. Now, in the natural world, here's the question. Is this waste? It's broken down sticks. Is this waste in the natural world? Is this waste? The organisms that made those don't need them anymore, so are those considered waste? Waste is material outputs from a system that is not useful or consumed. So in this case, only humans produce what would be considered actual waste in our time frame. The things that are produced in biological systems are all things that can be used to restore nutrients to a cycle as food for another organism, and everything gets returned back. Only humans make things that are not useful in any way, shape, or form, and this is what actual waste is. We have two types of pollution that are important. One is point source pollution, which is produced from a single identifiable location. You can point to where the source is coming from. So you can point to the smokestack, you can point to the waste discharge, so you see exactly where this pollution is coming from. This pollution is coming from where this factory is. This pollution is coming right down this river. This pollution is coming right out of here. It's very obvious as to where that pollution is coming from. Non-point source pollution is produced from a more diffuse, broadly defined area. It's typical things like pesticide spraying or urban runoff. If you don't know exactly what feedlot is producing waste, that can be non-point. Suburban and development streets, rural homes, irrigation, drainage, fertilizer is another big one. We can't go back exactly and figure it out. Sometimes we can, and as soon as you can figure out exactly where the pollution comes from, it becomes point source pollution. How is it helpful to a community to identify sources of pollution? Because then we have someone we can hold responsible. We can go back to them and say, you need to take care of this. Which type is more difficult to control and why? Obviously, non-point source pollution, if we don't know where the pollution is coming from, it's more difficult to control. Much easier to control pollution when we know exactly where it's coming from.